Hello, 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 hello. Hi, guys. Gonna wait for a few people to come into the chat room. What a week, guys. What a week. Oh my goodness. Roller coaster. 2020 has been a roller coaster thus far. Whole lot of changes and a whole lot of rocking and rolling. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. But the point of this video is to stay grounded. If you have to turn off the TV, turn off the TV. If you have to turn off your notifications via your cell phone for whatever um, you typically get, turn it off. Unless there's a bomb about to drop, turn it off. Because many times we get so caught up in the circus that we call now life that we lose ourselves. And so I say, let's stay grounded. Staying grounded takes focusing on what you're grateful for, what's going right in your life. Focus on that. Focus on gratitude. Because the more we continue to focus on circumstances out of our control, the more we feel um, out of control, right? We can only be responsible for our own actions. Regardless of what's going on around us, we can only be responsible and take care of ourselves. And typically, young ones, they can't take care of themselves, like your children or whatever. But I just say all of this because a lot of people have been going through it emotionally, uh, physically, financially, spiritually. And again, this year, I've mentioned it before, I've been hearing from a lot of people that study codes and symbols and signs and all of this stuff that this year is definitely going to shake up a lot of people's foundations. Um, so, again, we just need to stay grounded. Take deep breaths. Take deep breaths, hold it for 5 seconds, and slowly breathe out. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. If you have to do that a few times, then so be it. If you can find a space, if it's only 5 minutes, find a space where you could just tune everything out and just stay grounded. Like I said, with meditation, that's a great thing. A lot of times, what we're eating does not help whatsoever. The foods that we're eating does not help. And so many of us will need to change our eating habits. And when I say eating habits, some foods um, does not help you tap into that superpower that many of us are now starting to um, recognize that helps us get through the crazy up and down roller coaster rides that many of us have experienced. Um, so definitely find a quiet space, meditate, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Find that space so you can focus on connecting to your highest divinity, right? To the highest divinity, the God in you, right? Focus on that. Focus on gratitude. I don't care what it is. Be thankful that you have it. And when I said be thankful that you have it, if you have water to drink, clean water, and that's all you think you have that's worth being thankful for, you focus on that. Because guess what? Not all people have clean, fresh water to drink. That's a reality for some people, but it's not your reality. And at the end of the day, you could be thankful that you have clean water to drink. You may not own your your home. You may not own a home. You may rent an apartment, or you may be living in a hotel. But be thankful that you have somewhere clean and safe to lay your head. Be thankful. So the more we just, and I've said this before, counting our blessings, right? The more we focus on what we're grateful for, the less room there is in our psyche to be focusing on things that are out of our control, as far as outside of our being, right? So let's stay grounded. Let's stay grounded and let's focus on what's going to help us raise our um, energy to the highest that can go and keep it there. Keep it there. Because the more you keep looking at certain channels and it's on repeat, the lower your vibration will be. And you will be under attack. And you will be easily provoked. And you will be triggered more so than if you were vibing high. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, there's been some disappointments more so than other times this week. But again, but again, focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on that and know that your inner power is stronger if you believe it and if you allow it to show itself. Is powerful, more powerful than man. That energy and spirit within you is powerful. But you won't know that until you get so sick and tired of being sick and tired of looking for solutions and resolutions from the outside, looking for someone else or a group of people to save you. And the longer you continue to depend on that figure or whatever it is that you put over here that you believe should take care of you, and you see that it's not happening, you become you have a victim mentality. And usually victim mentality breeds fear. Fear breeds hate. And it's just a domino effect of issues and things that will happen. So that's what I wanted to start out this video talking about. Yes, we have battles all the time. In the physical, the spiritual. I mean, it happens. The war is not over, guys. The war is not over. The war may end or begin or whatever in this lifetime that you have right now, or it may be several lifetimes from now, right? But in the meantime, what you want to do is focus on gratitude. Tune all that nonsense and hypocrisy out. Tune it out. And not just on a national level, but even within your circles, like your relatives or your, you know, colleagues and associates, people that you just tolerate, you know. Tune that all out. Just when you are in a space where you're not with your tribe, when I say tribe, meaning people that are like-minded, right? You go through the motions of being around people to get the job done, but just know that's not your reality. It's not. It's not your reality. You're just going with the flow, but your reality is in your psyche. That's your reality. And you got to keep that balanced. So turn off the TV. Like right now, I actually finally got back on Netflix because I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, but I signed up for a VPN, and this VPN unfortunately did not allow me to get on Netflix. It's CAS VPN, right? And so I've had this for maybe 2 or 3 weeks now. So I was unable to look at Netflix all that time. And so I decided to get on Netflix because there's a new movie that they're promoting via Facebook. And so I was like, well, let me just go to Netflix because I can at least get on Netflix on my laptop. I just can't look or I can't stream shows and movies. So I was looking, and I'm just building up my playlist. I'm building up my playlist of things that can help me either zone out and be in la la land, or things that make me laugh, things that I find that is relevant, like documentaries. Um, just I'm setting up my playlist so when I'm able to actually watch Netflix on a regular, I don't need regular TV that constantly programming people to be uh, have victim mentality. Because if you sit there and you keep watching it, if you keep watching it, that in and of itself is uh, um, self-destructive. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, I'm on Netflix. I'm like adding things to my playlist, and I come across one sitcom that I did watch. It was one season. Now they got the second season. So I end up looking at the trailer for this show, and then I hit play, thinking, okay, it's not going to go through, but I want to be able to, add it if I need to my playlist, because I'm still new to Netflix, so I wasn't sure if each season you had to kind of add to your playlist versus just a show. But anyway, I hit play, and it began to play. It began to play, and I watched the first episode of the second season. And this show is called Family Reunion. Um, I really like this show. This show makes me happy. I can relate to it. The humor is funny. It's it's just an overall family friendly show. And again, it's called Family Reunion, and I absolutely love the show. A few things I have in my playlist right now, uh, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, and maybe you guys, if you have Netflix, you may want to check out Sabrina. She is this teenage witch. You probably heard of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I think back in the 90s. But this is on a whole nother level on Netflix. So now they have another season. And let me see. It's season 3, right? And I mean, it kind of reminds me of like Charm and other shows like that. But this particular season, apparently, they're going to diversify some of the supernatural powers. Um, and also, I see that they have kind of tapped into some, I want to say, hoodoo or voodoo on the show. And like I said, it's so much going on. But it looks like they're going to um, diversify the superpowers that Sabrina has or whatever. So even though I wasn't going to watch this show, but I ended up watching a few months ago, and I just kind of binged on it. It's definitely more intense. Um, there are scenes in the show that made me feel uneasy because I don't like horror movies or anything like that. And this is kind of is leaning into the horror movie show type um, category. So there's a few scenes that when I know it's about to happen, I'll kind of like look away or whatever. Even though I can still hear them talking and the creepy tone and everything. But overall, I try to look past that, and I try to see, because it's not coded at all. It's like this show has a lot of um, elements to it that, how should I put this? This show, this show allows Sabrina to work with energy that most people believe is destructive, destructive energy to get the job done, whatever she's trying to get done per episode or whatever. However, it's as if even though she's working with destructive energy, but um, she's also drawing a line as far as how far she will allow that dark energy to um, cause havoc, right? So there's that part of her where she wants to keep it balanced, right? She gets dirty when she needs to get dirty, but then she pulls back and balance it out so, for the common good. Let's just put it that way. And so many times you have people who lean more on the destructive side, and you have some people who lean more on the uh, highest vibrational side. And so sometimes there needs to be some chaos in there in order to balance things out. But it can't be all chaos, and it can't be all butterflies and rainbows and let's hold hands, right? Sometimes, in order to balance the scale, there needs to be a bit of, again, chaos mixed with harmony. And I think the way I'm interpreting this show, again, Sabrina on Netflix, is that she understands there needs to be a balance. And initially, she was not comfortable with the destructive side, but she learned that in order to get some things done, she has to work with that side, but then reel it in, right? When that job is done, so it doesn't get too far out of hand. So as a teenager, she's learning by experiencing versus reading stuff in a book or going by what someone else said that she should and shouldn't do. It's like her character is actually experiencing uh, different scenarios. And however way it works out because it was meant to work out based on her actions. And when I say actions, mean like whatever she decides that she needs to do means to an end, she would do that means to the end. And she usually would have a team with her to help her, kind of like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. It's not just her, but that's one of the main reasons why I've been kind of watching the show, because I've kind of gotten over that let's hold hands and sing lullabies, because there's a time for everything. That's one thing I've learned over the years. And that's one thing a lot of people kind of glaze over when they're reading um, scriptures. They kind of glaze over that. But no, there's a time for everything. There's a time for everything. And sometimes you got to turn up the heat. And in others, you need to turn that heat down. And again, balance. So anyway, even though, like I said, the show can be very intense, and it there's no filters, because Netflix, I guess, let them just be very creative. And um, some people are just not ready to look at a show like that. Some people will be extremely uncomfortable with a show like that. And then other people celebrate a show like that. And then, they want more destructive characters. That's their path, and they want to see that. But again, one thing about Sabrina, she gives you a little of that, and then she brings it back. Like she knows, like she's learning now when to use. If she need to break it down, she breaks it down. If she needs to, you know, demolish something, she demolishes it, but she brings it back for the common good, right? But I think this new season is all about her boyfriend, and she's trying to go help him get out of the gates of hell or whatever. And so based on what I'm seeing in the trailer, she has to go deeper into the unknown in order to help her boyfriend who's locked up in hell. Another movie came out that's on my to watch list. Is called A Fall from Grace. That's a Tyler Perry movie. Um, Let me see. The Witcher. That's an original Netflix. Is that a movie? No, no, it's a show. And again, I'm building up all of these shows and movies so I can watch them later because I'm not necessarily uh, attached to cable anymore, even though I will watch it. But at least with Netflix or whatever, I have more options to find shows and movies and documentaries that I can relate to. Um, there's another one called American Son on Netflix. It's an original Netflix movie. And I forgot the lady's name, but she played in House of Cards, I think. Was it House of Cards? No, Scandal. She was the main character, Scandal. Hi, Auntie Pooh. It's the lighting. I have a light at the desk. I have the light behind me and the light over there. But thank you. I'm talking about Netflix right now. And so anyway, that's one movie that I'm going to check out. And I'm not going to sit here and go through all of my uh, shows and movies that I'm going to watch later. But Family Reunion, like I said, guys, I just watched the first episode of the second season. And I love this show. This show is so funny. And again, I can relate to it. And it just helps you kind of tune out the nonsense that we watch all the time on TV. And just helps us to kind of redirect our focus on something that um, will give us back some control and power within our own reality. Turn the TV off. If it ain't making you feel good, turn it off. Let's see. Plus, it's like on Netflix, I was trying to look for shows and movies pertaining to New Orleans because I love New Orleans. Um, romance movies, some dramas, but I don't do dramas like I used to. Not as much because it's enough drama in this world anyway. I don't need to add on to it for entertainment purposes. Um, but yeah, I have a few documentaries. There's this one movie called Apache. Well, it's not a movie, it's a show. It's called Apache, The Life of Carlos Tevez. I have yet to watch that, but I added that to my playlist. Um, the Laundromat, I think I did watch that. That was pretty good. That was more of a conspiracy type movie. Um, and then some international movies too and shows are like African um, uh, focus shows. And I added a few new shows and movies that have yet to be aired, but I just added it to my, you know, remind me later list because it's not available yet. so that way when it's available, then it will notify me. And yeah, I did watch this movie called Same Kind of Different as Me. Such a beautiful movie based on a true story. And yeah, it's called Same Kind of Different as Me. Yeah, that was a tearjerker, but it was good. You said watch The Pharmacist. Let me see. I don't think I have that on my. Hold on. Let's see. The Pharmacist. Oh. Okay. I'm going to add that to my list. Thank you, Auntie Pooh. I'm going to add that to my list so I can watch it later. Hmm. Okay. So I just added that. Okay. I saw that you also sent that to me in my private message on Facebook, Auntie Pooh. So I did add that to the list. So thank you. Um, Another show that I really like, and I don't know when that show is going to be back up and running, but it was the first season, and it was called Raising. Let me see, Raising Raising Dion. Oh, that's such a good show. It's loaded with symbolism and things of that nature. Again, I'm still learning about symbolism and stuff, but Raising Dion is it's similar to like a God state, um, being a son of an entity or whatever. Um, Even though his father in the show was not necessarily an entity, and I'm not going to give too much about the show, but there was an experiment that happened, and this this child, his name is Dion, he inherited from his father some powers. So that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I don't know when they're gonna have the new season come out, but I'm looking forward to that. Of course, I'm a fan of Full House. I've always been a fan of Full House. I grew up on Full House, but now they have Fuller House, and it's so funny. It's not that corny, funny that you know we all were used to back then, but it's more adult, family slash children humor. But you do get some adult jokes that the average child wouldn't know what you're talking about, but grown people now. So yeah, that show is funny. Um, let's see. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that I've added to my playlist that I'm going to watch later. But again, I like Netflix because I can just go and find something that I can resonate with that makes me think. And I'm just not being fed or I'm not eating whatever is available on cable, right? I'm searching for particular types of movies and shows that I can really learn from. And, now a lot of these platforms, as far as streaming, you have Hulu, you have Amazon Prime, Fire Stick, I think, and I think AT&T has something. I mean, I can't remember every single one, but now it's like, okay, if you get a subscription with like 5 or 6 different streaming platforms, you might as well have cable. So I'll say, you know what, I'm just going to stick with Netflix for the moment. because it's only costing me $13 a month. Um, I know Amazon has something. I think what I'm gonna do is in the near future I'm going to sign up for Amazon Prime because I believe where I'm going to be, I'm going to rely heavily on shipments. Versus going to a store, I'm going to have it shipped to me. And with Amazon Prime or whatever, I think they have some sort of streaming platform as well. Um, and of course, those shows and movies you're not going to be able to see on Netflix and blah blah. So, if they give me a trial run or something, then I'll check that out too. We shall see. All right, guys, what would you like for me to talk about? Be careful out there. There's a long, hundreds of miles long worth of rain fronts in the southeast this evening, or all day this evening and tomorrow. There's been tornadoes, there's been flood watches and warnings, flash flooding. So just be careful out there, guys. I was just looking at the Weather Channel, and apparently, in somewhere down in Atlanta, I think somewhere down in Atlanta, there was a freaking tree that the roots got so saturated by all the moisture that at least little wind blew. This particular tree fell over on a car on Highway 85. I repeat, a tree fell over on a car in the Atlanta area on Highway 85, which is a very, very, very busy and congested interstate. So just be careful out there, guys. I got folks down in Atlanta, I got folks in North Carolina. I have people I know and I'm cool with that live in Florida. So it's like, oh, and in Eastern Shore. So just be cautious and be careful because the weather is definitely, uh, you know, it's crazy. All this rain, pretty much the southeast, pretty much is raining. Here it's raining, but it's not to that extreme, in the southern parts of the country. So yeah, definitely be careful, guys. If you don't have to go out, don't. If you live in an area that's prone to flooding, if you don't have to go out, don't. If you live in an area again that's prone to flooding and your street typically floods, try to find somewhere where you can park your car that's higher elevation. Okay. Um, yeah, this weather is crazy. It's definitely crazy. And the thing is, if the temperatures were a lot lower, we will be in a freaking blizzard. Like most of the country will be under snow. So be careful. Um, what else, guys? What else do you want me to talk about? Give me something to talk about. I could talk about a lot of things, but again, I've been on YouTube for a while, and I think I've ran my mouth so much that now I'm waiting for you guys to, ask me some questions, and if I have an opinion about it, I will give you my opinion. Let's see. Super Bowl. Super Bowl performance. Halftime. I would say the parts that I actually got goosebumps when I was watching it, the parts that I liked, was towards the end of um, uh, the show. And it was when Shakira was dancing to some African sounding beats with a lot of women of color on stage and they were wearing gold. That was my favorite. And when Jennifer Lopez or J Lo was dancing, very, very high energy dancing to, I believe, salsa. I love that. I love salsa. And I believe that was the style that she and her dance crew were doing. I mean, it was high energy. Oh my goodness. I I I admire Jennifer Lopez as an entertainer. In particular, her dancing and her acting. Shakira, I don't really know much about her except that she, um, back when Beyonce had her first solo album, she was on one of the videos, and one of the songs that she did sing with Wyclef in the background. Um, but that's about it. I don't really know much about Shakira, but I know that she is a dancer as well, very exotic dancer. Um, and hands down, she let us know how it's done, okay? How it's done. So overall, I thought the performance was good. Um, I'm not much of a fan of Jennifer Lopez's singing. Not saying that she can't carry a note, but I'm not much of a fan. She does have a few songs where I do like the lyrics and I do like the beat, and it meshes well. But that's about it. But when it comes to her acting, she's a very great actress, in my opinion, and an excellent dancer. And oh my goodness, like the energy that was on that stage was incredible. It was incredible. And of course, I didn't watch it live. I didn't watch the game at all. And part of the reason is because number one, I'm not into sports like that. And number two, I just did not want to see the disrespect that many people in the stands and as well as, mascots and things of that nature pertaining to Kansas City. I just didn't want to watch it. Now, of course, they won. At this point, you all know that Kansas City won the Super Bowl. But I just really didn't want to see that. Plus, I was on YouTube, guys. I was doing a live video. so, so yeah. Now let's dive a little deeper. Let's dive a little deeper. There were a lot of people who were offended by the performance. Now, this is my opinion about what I saw and what I thought some people may have been offended when they were on stage. Number one, you had two very talented women of color who happen to look very light in complexion. But let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted. They are connected to the indigenous population in the Americas. Let's not forget that. Just because they're considered Latina and they speak Spanish or whatever, let's not forget that part of their heritage. Okay? Okay? Let's not forget that. And many of them may not know, they weren't taught, they may have heard, maybe there's no paper trail, right? Or maybe they were taught to be ashamed of that aspect of their heritage. So they lean more towards the European heritage, the Latino, the Latina heritage. Twisted, guys. That stage was full. I repeat, that stage was full of people who are connected to the Americas. Ancient ancestry. Ancient. And maybe throughout the generations, they've been taught to suppress that. They've been taught uh, find favor in people who have fairer skin and straighter hair, right? We all know that. We all know the root of that, right? Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened to that. Okay. Yeah, I just lost connection or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to pick up on this. So, what I was saying is, let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted. I repeat, let's not get it twisted. That stage was full of people connected to indigenous ancient ancestry from the Americas. Let's not get it twisted. The people on that stage were also connected to ancient African ancestry. The culture is full of ancient African influence. And yes, they speak Spanish. Okay? That's a European language. I'm speaking English. This is a European language, right? But that does not mean that I am an English woman. No. That does not mean I'm an English woman because I speak English. Let's not get it twisted. So apparently, people that were upset, most of them were middle-aged women. They didn't like the idea of these two women on stage shaking what their mama gave them, right? And proud of it. And the rich culture with an infusion of all of the trials and tribulation that just birthed this insane energy of resilience was on that stage. It was on that stage. Resilience. And like I said, one of my favorite parts of that show was towards the end when Shakira was dancing with her dance crew in gold. And it was very Afrocentric. A lot of African influence on that stage. You cannot do Latino, Latina, Hispanic, whatever, and not include that African aspect of it because Africa influenced Latin America. You can't just be focusing on the Spanish, Spaniards, and Portuguese, and speaking Portuguese and speaking Spanish, and light skin and straight hair, and forget about a huge impact. Sorry, a huge impact Africa has on Latin America. I mean, you just can't. It is impossible. You cannot erase Africa from the Americas, right? Um, Even though generations and generations and generations have passed where there has been on paper and culture wise genocide when it comes to the indigenous impact or influence in Latin America. But I'm noticing more and more people who speak Spanish, who relate to being Hispanic or Latino or Latina or whatever, they are now learning about their indigenous American blood, genetics. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, A lot of people out in these streets feel like if you have not lived a certain way, you are excluded. They believe you are excluded if you didn't live a certain way. So if you weren't raised that way, you have an automatic decline on who you are. Sorry, them days are over. Them days are over when our, again, brothers and sisters south of the border and those who are linked to people south of the border that just happen to be living in this country, when they wake up and they recognize their indigenous American rightful place to be here, just saying. Yeah, they can sing Spanish, speak Spanish, and do all these Spaniard type stuff. That's part of their culture as well. I'm just saying. Some people might have thought they saw two white women speaking Spanish on that stage or singing in Spanish. Nope. Mm-mm. And Shakira, she is also linked to the Middle East. Lebanon, I think. Yeah, Middle East. So I think the whole belly dancing thing that she does, that's her way of showing um, her audience that she's just not a Latina. She's also linked to the Middle East. And that whole, again, belly dancing routine and stuff is to highlight that aspect of her genetic pool. So, you know how people feel about people speaking Spanish in America, which is really the United States of America, because there's a whole lot of America out there. And you have some people who have a problem with the Middle East or Muslim people. So you had all that going on that stage. So and then when Jennifer Lopez came out with that, I call it a rug, but it had like the American flag on one side and Puerto Rican flag in the inside and all of that. I think some people knuckles got real white. They did not want to have to sit through that. So of course they have excuses or reasons why they didn't like, the Super Bowl or whatever. Oh, it was a disgrace. It was not family friendly. It was, distasteful, and the poll and all this stuff. And I'm saying to myself, no, you guys just want to have an excuse because maybe you don't feel good about yourself. Maybe your man got excited when they were shaking their behinds in a way that is very familiar to groups of people you don't like. Hint, hint. Again, Spanish comes from Europe. I think some people in this country forget that. Spaniards, they're your cousins. They're white people. They're European, okay? These people that were on stage were singing and talking in a European language, not just English, but Spanish as well. But for whatever reason, you kind of equate that to Mexicans. Mm. So, anyway, yes, it was a sexy performance, but other than that, it was so much talent, so much energy, so much pride. That was resilience that was displayed on that stage. People who have descended from so much pain and gene, genocide and everything else, but yet they got on that stage and they boasted that they're still here. Yeah, this internet is just, I don't know what's going on. I apologize, guys. It keeps chopping up. But anyway, for those who are still holding on and watching, thanks. But anyway, at the end of the day, what I saw on stage, again, was a display of pride, a display of boastful pride and resilience. And there was a blend of different cultures and languages and just again, that energy just was insane. You got a 50-year-old woman doing it up, okay? That gives me motivation. That gives me a sense of pride. A sense of pride. And I like how Jennifer Lopez, or J-Lo, she started her performance with this song that I did like, called Jenny from the Block. Even though she's Puerto Rican, the culture that was mixed with her Puerto Rican New York City culture is also Black New York City culture. That was all mixed up in there. Um, and when she started out, the lyrics was from In Living Color. And In Living Color, for those who are not familiar, it's almost like a skit show similar to Saturday Night Live, but it was predominantly people of color. And J Lo happened to be a dancer on the show, and that's how I guess she got her break or whatever. And so she in that song was like, "I'm Jenny from the block. Yeah, I got money. I'm doing my thing, but I'm still Jenny from the block." So anyway, enough of that. Um, but yeah, a lot of people are having problems and issues with seeing that displayed, and I guess they thought, oh, they ain't got no black performance this year, so this should be good. Once again, you cannot get away. You cannot get away from black influence. You cannot get away from indigenous American influence, okay? It's there. It's there. It may be packaged a little differently, right? But it's there. So anyway, again, the performance was high energy. There were a few parts of the performance that gave me goosebumps. Um, and yeah, like I said, a lot of middle-aged, I guess, white folks had an issue with it. Middle-aged white women, but whatever. Um, let's see what else is going on. And again, I'm just seeing bits and pieces. People talking about certain things. I'm not really paying too much attention to it. But the whole Gayle King thing, saying something out of context on a CBS interview about Kobe Bryant, and the man hasn't been dead, what, not even 2 weeks. And it has something to do with something in the early 2000s about uh, allegedly him sexually assaulting a woman or something, who apparently had mental issues and um, was on medication, whatever. Now, did it happen? I don't know. I wasn't there. But there's a controversy going on with Gayle King um, and the delivery of that interview um, that apparently was not aired in its full capacity. It was kind of chopped up and just to get people wound up. But I mean, she did still touch on that so soon after his passing. Um, Many people feel like that was coonery, Yeah, that's a word I'm hearing now. Coonery. Um, I don't know. I honestly think that she was trying to be subjective. I think she was trying to, um, show different aspects of Kobe. Really highlight what he was most known for in a positive light. And there was a part of the interview towards the end that they did touch on that alleged uh, assault, and they ended it with, something, I guess, positive, but it didn't air that way. It didn't air to the public that way. So she getting heat specifically from the black community. She's getting heat for her role in that. And so she took onto social media to just let everybody know that CBS screwed up and it wasn't her. And she pissed off that she was pretty much used as um, um, an object to stir up trouble. Um, so that's her position in this whole thing. And again, I really wasn't following it that much, but that's what was going on this week. Um, of course, with the acquittal of the impeachment, I'm not surprised. And the reason why I said that is because there weren't enough Democrats in the Senate for it to even have a chance to be uh, an outcome that they wanted. So if you're outnumbered, you're really hoping that some opponents will actually will change their perspective and vote the way the Democrats wanted them to vote. Well, obviously that didn't happen. um, so now it's like back to the drawing board because some people feel as if this may have damaged the Democratic Party as far as having any chance of getting him out um, towards the end of the his term, his first term. Um, the way it's looking, he's going to get what's coming, but it may not be when people want it to happen. Um, it is exhausting, and this is why I don't spend a whole lot of time reading into it. I may see something on my cell phone, I glance and keep it moving. I keep scrolling down. If there's something on TV, I'll glance at the headline or whatever, get the point, and then I change it. I don't sit there and I don't get saturated in content that is not helping me be the best I can be. Um, I've just learned over the past year or so not to put all my hopes and dreams into the political environment. Um, there are people who want to do right by their citizens, um, um, their constituents. Did I say that right? But if they're outnumbered and they don't have people on their team, enough of them, then it's like talking to the wall. And so I say all of this is because sometimes people have all the best intentions when they get into politics, and then it doesn't play out the way they hoped it would. And so politics, from what I've been hearing, is a very dirty business. It's just packaged differently than, let's say, a business that is illegal by our standards. And so that's how I feel about that. I just feel like we need to just take care of the home base, meaning your house, your person. Um, Work on yourself. Do the best you can. Raise again your vibration, stay grounded, connect with people who are like minded. Um, and this is easier said than done, but build your own empire. Um, Link up with people again that are like minded, that who also want to build an empire. Um, I think the more people decide to emotionally detach from this political circus, the better off people will be. But it takes a group of people, not just one or two people scattered throughout an entire country to do that. It takes communities of people to do that. It's just the way it is. Um, and of course, if you have a boatload of money, you can create your own fortress, have your own zip code or whatever, and do your own thing. Um, for me, as far as a government, I think the main thing I will be um, willing to support would be protecting our borders, and not just from brown people, guys, because I think some people get it twisted. Not just everybody who doesn't look like you, right? I'm talking about real enemies, the real enemies. That's where I am. I'm supportive of having a national government to protect our borders. Okay. Also, having a national government that makes sure our infrastructure is maintained, roads, bridges, things of that nature, so we can um, get around easily, right? Um, and I know this is very, 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 very foreign for some people who are very liberal. I lean more, if you're looking at a scale, right? And in the middle, that's the middle, right? Moderate. I'm more of a moderate liberal. Like liberals all the way over here, and this is conservative. I'm more of a moderate liberal, like right here. That's where I am. And so I just think the big major like security and infrastructure, sure. Sure. Let them focus on that. Everything else, I think it takes a community. Everybody's not going to agree with how you should, um, zoning laws and all that. All of that stuff is on a community level. And for all those people that think a certain kind of way that is so far fetched from how I think, allow them to have their own community. Allow them to have their own municipal entities. You know, everybody thinks the same way, look the same way if that's what they care about, in their own little community, and that's their oasis. Let them have that. Let them have that. If they prefer not to learn other people's perspective, then let them stay over there. They stay in their territory. That's their tribe, right? It's a tribal thing, I guess. Let them stay over there in their tribe and their community and be in harmony with their like-minded folks that look like them, right? Let them stay over there. And then other people who want to branch out and are okay with different because they see different as something positive that will help strengthen their unit. Okay, let them do that. If you don't like it, you don't have to be a part of that tribe. You could be somewhere else and have your own tribe. And when I say tribe, meaning like your own community. I think it's at that point right about now. Some people are they're so passionate about their perspective that they're willing to die for their perspective. And I just feel like just let people, if people want to be left alone and they don't want different, and they think a certain way, and they all get along, then just y'all go over there. Y'all, like each state is its own country. How about that? The state of Virginia will be the country Virginia. The state of North Carolina will be the country of North Carolina. Unless that region gets along and they have the same kind of goals, right? And standards, then that's one state. I mean, that's one country with two states, right? I don't think that's too far fetched. I don't. This country, the United States of America, did not look the way it does now. The state of Virginia, believe it or not, was a lot bigger than it is now. A lot of this country was Virginia, and then they chiseled off, and now Virginia is what it is. But Virginia was a lot bigger, a large amount of land mass, right? Um, that could be definitely a solution. Like the United Nations, like United States of America be like the United Nations. And they have this thing where they focus on the borders and infrastructure. And in each state, if people get along, whatever, that's a country. If two or three states in that region got the same standards and goals and aspirations, right, and they get along, then those are three states in one country. I mean, just look at the map when it's uh, campaign season, the map of the country, the United States. Just look at the map and look at the colors. All those states that are blue should be one country. And all them states that are red should be one country. Now, granted, you do have pockets of people that think more blue than red, right? That could be a little sticky there. But if the majority think red, it might be a good idea for you to reside in an area, in a space where there's harmony. Because, of course, you're not getting any harmony if you are a minority within the majority. What do you guys think, the ones that are watching right now? You have any opinions you want to add to the conversation? What do you think? Put some in the chat box. Is this too far fetched? What do you think? I'm all about harmony. And there's a time for everything. But when there's a time to have peace and tranquility or whatever, sometimes you have to separate from people. Because if they're so passionate again with their perspective and it's embedded in their psyche and they don't know nothing else and don't want to know nothing else, it's best to just leave them alone. It's best to just leave them be and not force them or anybody to live, act, walk, and talk and everything else like you. Just let it be. I think part of the issue is some people just do not want to mingle and they're being forced to. Now, granted, if it's a public, if it's a public establishment or whatever, and there aren't any other options for people that they don't like, and they need they need somewhere to sleep or they need somewhere to eat because they're traveling or something like that, then, in my opinion, that should be uh, authorized for them to be able to stay there and eat there, whatever like that. But if there are options and Billy Bob or whatever don't want to serve you, fine. Take your money somewhere else. You are not obligated to give your money to an establishment that think you are a disgrace to the human race. Just saying. Alexander, hi. You said interesting idea. I think we should draw borders around natural landmarks like rivers and mountain ranges. People tend to find harmony by territory. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I think many people need to get over the fact that not everyone's going to accept you, not everyone's going to like you, not everyone's going to agree with your, you know, you just being in their space. As they say, their space. It's not their space, but they feel like you're encroaching on their space because you're here. Um, I think sometimes people like that, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Now, it can be sticky because then you have people that don't want to leave because that's their land. And yes, they may be a minority in that majority of that thinking, but they're like, no, this is my land. I'm not going anywhere. And so then you have groups of people that will risk their lives to go into a hostile territory to protect those minorities versus the majority packing up and going somewhere else. Because again, they have the sense of entitlement, right? Last time I checked, your bloodline is foreign to this land. Last time I checked. Hmm. And I've used this scenario before. You go into someone's house. You eat potato chips or whatever, dropping crumbs everywhere. Put your feet on their coffee table. All up in their refrigerator. And don't acknowledge the person who has been living in that house or still living in that house. Who does that? Like, would you actually go into someone's house you don't know? You just walk in, go in their refrigerator, eat somebody's sandwich that was made, and go put your feet up on a coffee table. You don't do that. That's not cool. Hey, Auntie Pooh. I'm talking about people being separate from folks that are so set in their ways. And when I say that, meaning people that are so passionate about their perspective, be it the way they believe, how they look, how the next person look. They only want to associate with people that look like them, them type of folks. They should just have their own country. All of them should pack it up like they did back in the day when they went out west on those bandwagons and stuff and head out west. They should all pack up and gather together in another territory and call it a country or whatever. Have their own rules so they can live in their oasis. That's their peace of mind, their harmony, and their happiness. When they ain't got to mingle with other people, they don't have to be forced to be around other people. They can be around people that they're comfortable with. I have no issues with that. This is where our country is right now. This is where it's at. And again, I have no problem when you have people that would just pack up and maybe everybody in the red states kind of get together and y'all stay over there. Red states, blue states. Country, Red country, blue country. And what we all agree about will be protecting the borders of this landmass. Yeah, we can agree to that. From real enemies. We can agree to that. But everything else, mm, just let them be. Let them be. Because maybe that will raise their vibrations, right? Maybe that will raise their vibration. Maybe because they've been forced to mingle with people they don't want to mingle with, their vibrations have gone all the way down. All the way down. And who really? You have your children who were escorted into these schools back in the day to integrate these schools because many people believe that doing such would be beneficial not only to the children that were being bussed in, but also the children who were in a toxic household, teaching them certain things about other people without even having a chance to get to know them, so they can come to their own conclusions about people, right? Um, I'm thankful that we've had brave members of the community to risk their lives for that. But in 2020, the way things are now, let them be. Let them be. All the like-minded people that are passionate about whatever they believe in, let them come together, congregate or whatever, and be in their own country. So, yeah, that's where I am about that. That's my current position right now. That's my current position right about now. You can't make people accept you. You can't make people respect you. You can't make people like you. You can't even make people see you for the greatness that's within yourself. You can't. Unless they are receptive to that. So, my motto is I'm not wasting no energy with someone who, as of right now, in this decade, still holding on to that negative feeling about people like myself or anybody that's different. It is so played out. It is really played out. You know, I saw a video of some pro clown in the White House folks that happen to be part of my group. If you just look at them, have some type of thing going on where they're handing out money to black people to get them to vote for the clown in the next election. And of course, if you ain't got no grocery money, you gonna go up in there, take the money. Thank you so much. And if that's how you gonna vote based on them handing you some money, that's sad. Oh yeah, I saw that earlier today. And I was like, that is sad if that's how you gonna vote based on somebody gave you a couple of $100 so you can get some groceries. Now we can learn something from different groups of positions, right? There's things that you can learn from a group that you despise. You can learn something from them to better yourself, to better your situation, to better your household, right? Your fortress. But to vote for a group of people based on they gave you a couple of $100 so you can go grocery shopping. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Don't get it twisted. And then some people don't even want to be a part of the whole political voting scam. That's what it is. It's a scam. They don't even want to be part of it. They don't believe that their vote counts. And I remember the first time I was disappointed when I was able to vote for the first time, and this was 2000, I think. And my feelings was really hurt because I really was into politics. Um, I was thinking about majoring in political science. Then I thought about majoring in government. I've taken um, government related classes in school and all of that. So I had aspirations to work in the nation's capital and fighting for the people and all that. And the cards were different for me. But when I did participate in that first election that I was old enough to participate in, my feelings got hurt. And then there was a rebound for about 8 years before the current circus. And there was a feeling of maybe these group of people will iron things out. Some things did iron out, but at the same time, I've learned over the years focus on bettering yourself, focus on keeping yourself grounded, focus on gratitude, focus on what really matters. And you know what really matters? Spirit. That's what matters. At the end of the day, spirit matters. That's the lasting effect for all of us. That supernatural power. That's what matters. Right now, they're playing chess. And they've been playing chess for a long time when it comes to politics. Chess. It's time to get off that chessboard. It's time. And I think some people are fearful because that's all they know. And they're, you know, it's always been this way, um, and all of that. But I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. Focus on keeping yourself grounded. Focus on your spiritual evolution. That's what's going to keep you sane. That's going to help you elevate. This current reality is a snapshot. It's a snapshot of your full potential. That's what we need to focus on. And I've learned over the past few years, again, to turn off distractions as much as possible. I mean, some areas it's damn near impossible to do that, especially in a particular work environment or whatever. Things that's just kind of out of your control. But everything else in your life, control your atmosphere. And like I said, with meditation, that's been helpful for me. Journaling has been helpful for me. I have grown to accept that in order for there to be a birth of something new, there needs to be chaos. The boat needs to be rocked and shifted. There needs to be a tearing down of the familiar. And it's uncomfortable. But when you're building your creation, what you're manifesting, there are times where things are going to be shaken up. It's not going to always be comfortable. It's not going to always be familiar. It's going to be the unknown territory. And I think a lot of people, at the end of the day, they feel like, what else can be done? Or where should I go? What should we do? It's always been this way. So that's where I am right now. Joe Sin says I'm grounded. Then you says then your title is Let's Stay Ground. Oh, okay, I need to change that. Sorry, I'll edit that to grounded. Sorry about that. Um, yeah. So we just have to. Sometimes we just have to take a deep breath. Just take that deep breath. Be here. Be here. Be present. Hear our heartbeat. That's what's needed. Because as long as you seek an outside source for your well-being, it's going to be a revolving door of disappointment. And there's but so much disappointment the average person can take. And for me, it stops now. I choose how it's going to be in my life. I choose that. And while many people will be upset or are upset about different decisions that were made the past few weeks on a national level and all this, I'm at the point right now where focusing on bettering my individual world, my reality, so I can empower other people is my priority. However many people I can reach, I call that success. That's what I call that. I am not in I am not in the uh, I'm not in a space where I feel the need to run an entire country or save millions of people. Yes, we should look after our children and our elders, right? That's the future. And believe it or not, our elders are our future. A lot of people don't think about that. Our elders are our future. You know why? Because they are saturated with wisdom, right? And experience. And when they cross over to the next dimension, wherever they're going to go, they're now graduated to ancestor status. So our elders are our future. Many people, they don't really pay too much attention to ancestors and things of that nature, but they've been here and they've done that. And even though they're physically not here, they stay with us. My ancestors are with me. Every cell in my body, every drop of blood is a reflection of my ancestors. So, yes, our ancestors are our future. So, or our elders. So, we have to look after our elders. We have to look after our children. Those birthed children and those who you take under your wing, right? Um, and I say this because, again, my position is to focus on me so I can uplift and empower others, those that I can reach. But I'm not going to focus too much on a Muppet that's put up on a platform and believe that this individual can save our country or whatever. Them days are over. Now I'll give my opinions, during the election season, but I'm not going to get emotionally absorbed in it ever again. I'll cast my vote and keep it moving. I cast my vote and keep it moving and focus on building relationships with like-minded people. Building relationships with like-minded people. You work on yourself, you work on your healing, you work on your inner power and your inner spirit. You focus on that. And then you reach out to those who are like-minded. People that you can learn from, people that can teach you. And when you come together, you are a force to reckon with. And yes, there are still people who are caught up with things that are not necessary when it comes to this spiritual realm. I understand people want to or desire to preserve culture, their lineage, so it doesn't get lost, that their story doesn't get lost. I can respect that. I can respect that. But we must realize that the key to freedom is spiritual wellness. That's all I got for you guys. Because people can go all day and all night going back and forth, right? On the internet or over the TV, going back and forth. And how it should be, and why this person didn't do this, and how disgraceful this was. You are worried. And I'm going back to the halftime Super Bowl show. You are worried about a woman or women belly dancing and shaking that booty more so more so than innocent people who are being human trafficked. Human trafficking. That's something to be concerned about, right? Hmm. Have you lost any sleep? Have you been in long conversations about human trafficking? Hmm. How about our environment? The unnecessary fracking. It's all unnecessary now. There's so many other options that are less uh, destructive. Are you in deep conversations about protecting what's left of this land, the water? No, you're spending most of your time complaining about someone who's dancing on a stage, who's doing what in the bedroom with somebody who got the same package, and children that you don't care nothing about. Because at the end of the day, when they're here, are you going to feed and clothe them? Of course not. You do have a handful of people that are very genuine, and they're very conservative, and they're very genuine. And I can't knock them. They do open their doors up for children. They do love on them. They do raise them the way they ought, the way they believe they ought to be raised. Right? I'm not knocking on those people. That's their perspective. That's their way of life. But at the same time, they put their best foot forward. And if they're against a certain thing and the outcome of this thing is an innocent child, they step up. They look after that child. They love on that child. They bring that child up the best way they know how. I'm not knocking on them. I'm knocking on the ones that are hypocrites. And we all got a little bit of hypocrite in us, just a little bit, right? But if you worried about a woman shaking her butt on stage and how you going to explain this to your child, as far as what's appropriate and what's not, but you ain't got nothing to say about human trafficking and children being raped at the border and children being separated from their parents. This has been going on for centuries, not just recently, guys. Centuries. Centuries. Is that part of your discussion? And this whole being disrespectful to veterans when you don't stand up for the national anthem. Again, guys, where I am right now, I'm focused more on spiritual evolution and linking up with like minded people. And if they happen to be from the same cloth I'm from, that's great. That's awesome. Linnell Votto says, do you think they should come to the U.S. the right way? What is the right way? Because I'm thinking about the foreigners that came here when my people were already here doing their own thing. Did they come over here the right way? Ask yourself that. In 1400, 1300, or whenever the foreigners came over here, did they come over here the right way? I think that's an honest question. I think that is an honest question. What is the right way? I understand the current rules about passports. I get that. But let's not forget when there were foreigners coming to this country that did not come here the right way. Of course, there weren't no passports and things of that nature, right? They just showed up and showed out and took over. Was that the right way? I'm going to leave that question for you. Was that the right way? Oh, and they didn't just come by themselves. They brought their livestock. Let's throw that in there. They consider their slaves livestock. Well, they brought them too. And are, uh, many of us are, we are the result of that. So that's pretty much the question that I'll just leave anybody, not just you, Linnell, but anybody that looks at this video. When the foreigners came to this continent, did they come over here the right way? I beg to differ. Now, those that came over here and needed help, they were escaping um, prosecution or whatever you want to call it, based on their way of life and what they wanted to believe, and this was their piece of paradise. People like that, great. No one should be oppressed and made to not do what they feel like they should be doing, like worshiping the way they want to worship, right? Being able to eat quality food, live in a clean environment. A lot of people are escaping from hell on earth way back then. But we do know that many of those foreigners did not come over here the right way. Let's not tiptoe and tap dance around that. They didn't. You come over here the right way, in my opinion, are people who want a better life. Not people that's coming over here to take over, but people that want to be here and be uh, in harmony with folks that's already here. Not raping them, not murdering them, not making them sick and they die from diseases, not forcing them to worship their God. And again, did they come over here the right way? Those foreigners? I think not. Now, if you have some knuckleheads coming from a country that has nothing to do with Mexico, there's other countries out there that's foreign to this country, right? But for whatever reason, people want to focus on Mexico for some reason. Like Mexico is the black sheep or something out of all the countries in the world, or whatever. You have knuckleheads that already have a track record of being uh, uh, troublemakers. No, they don't need to come over here. Uh-uh. If you already got a track record, you don't need to be in this country. We got enough of that as it is. Now I would stand on that. But for other people that are seeking a better life for them and their families, that their hell on earth, and they just happen not to have a piece of paper. I can't vouch for that. I just can't. And to blame the guardians of these children that are unfortunately taken advantage of when they're separated from their families and then blaming it on their relatives. Oh, well, you shouldn't have came here illegally. That's what you get. That's why now your children are being raped and molested. I can't co-sign on that. I just can't. I cannot. And I will not. Mm-mm. What I will co-sign on, what I is individuals who were not necessarily born here that are causing havoc in this country. They have to go. It's a privilege to be here in this country. I know this. It's not perfect, but it's a privilege to be here. And if they come here and they bring in all kinds of their nonsense, they gotta go. Bye. Find another country. You gotta go. Now don't get it twisted. For people that might have just came into this chat room or whatever, don't get it twisted. People that were born here and causing havoc or whatever, you can go too. You can go too. But they're not going to do that. Nah. It's a business. It's a business. So they have people in jail working them for nothing. It's called slavery. And a lot of the people that get locked up, they didn't even do anything that was like traumatic. They might have did something stupid in high school or, in their early 20s. Got caught up doing something stupid. And then they got life in prison. Didn't even kill nobody. But they're using the prisoners for free labor. Oh, yes. And a lot of those prisoners, they lose their rights to vote. Even though now, I mean, you know how I feel about it. I'll cast my vote, but I'm not going to get emotionally caught up in it. Nope. And you know what? It's probably the way it's supposed to be. Stop putting your faith and everything in politics. Put your faith in your abilities, yourself, and spirit. Focus on that because that's what's going to last. Not this system, not governments come and go, right? Spirit is what lasts. But anyway, guys, I have to go. Thanks, guys, for chiming in. Thanks for leaving your comments. And hopefully, you guys will think differently about something that maybe you thought was, you know, totally different from the direction I'm coming from. And maybe, you know, you could see kind of where I'm coming from. You may not agree with everything, but you kind of have something in the mix that you can kind of you can agree with, right? We're not all going to agree all the time, um, but we can respect. We can respect the idea of um, being okay that somebody else does not totally agree with what we think is the best thing since sliced bread. It's okay. It's okay to not be on the same page all the time. But That's where I am right now. And life goes on. And you move on. And the goal is not to stay stagnant. The goal is to continue to move forward. All right. And maybe this message that I'm sending out, which is my opinion, maybe this will help some people think differently uh, based on the most recent events that has happened in this country, be it political, be it sociology, uh, social, um, spiritual, what have you. But that's what I believe, and I'm sticking to it today. It could change. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. You could have been doing anything else, but you chose to be here watching me. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Be blessed and be a blessing to others. And watch what happens. Until next time, toodles.